Robert says, looking to build out a niche directory for lead gen, like Bradley mentioned in a previous Hump Day Hangout, thinking of making it free to sign up and then have a banner on the sidebar to book a call for digital strategy sessions. I've seen many free directories like this require users to add a link to them to get a link and use in the listing, usually an HTML snippet to create a reciprocal link. Do you think this model is worth using, as I can build links at the same time to offset costs of running the directory? And then the few people that click the banner can become potential clients. Would love your thoughts on this. And this is something that could lead to SEO penalties, etc. Yeah, I mean, first of all, the directory model is great, Robert. It's my favorite prospecting method. Again, I've been teaching this in the mastermind for months. I've been using it for about, a year and a half. It was in November of 2020. When I started my directory for Tree Care HQ. Just go search tree service directory. You'll see it's #1. Boom. That's my directory site. So and I'm not even prospecting for tree contractors right now, although I got a tree service contractor last week, a new client, because he contacted me through my directory. He's in Florida, or excuse me, he's in Massachusetts. And anyway, so I'm not even trying to land tree service clients right now, but I got one last week because of that. So it's a great strategy. No question. What I was getting at was with reciprocal links. Anytime I ever had started to build a directory listing for a client or a lead gen asset that required a reciprocal link, I went elsewhere. I wouldn't do it. Okay. So, because you can imagine if you're a local business owner and every time you want to submit to a directory that requires that, next thing you know, your footer's populated with a bunch of spam links from directories that nobody's ever going to visit. So I don't recommend that. Also, reciprocal links are, I mean, Google says that they're bad, but whatever. People do it all the time. So, but I don't recommend that, because it's going to severely limit the number of people that are going to want to put their sites or register a page or a listing on your directory. It's going to significantly reduce the number of people that will do that. So don't do that. My directory is free. I don't charge anything for that. You can monetize it. In fact, part of this SOP process that I'm developing for the JB with Trent at Flowster. Again, these SOPs are all available to our mastermind members. I just did a separate SOP that's like the first SOP in that training program, that coaching program. It's called, selecting or determining a niche or an industry for this model, right? Which is, my recommended process is to select an industry. And if it's a broad industry or a super competitive industry, select a specialization within the industry. So what I mean by that, well, like, you could do a lawyer directory, but there's a bunch of those out there. And lawyers or attorneys, the legal industry is a very broad industry. And good luck, because you'd have to have really deep pockets to be able to really make a dent in that at all. And it's just super aggressive and super competitive. Personal injury attorneys, that's more specific, right? So you could try that. Again, very, very competitive space though, right? And that's a specialization within the legal niche. Well, then you could specialize even more, like catastrophic injury attorney or, boat accident attorney or something like that, right? You could specialize down even further. And so my point is having, kind of a specialized industry is a way that you can compete in even a very competitive space, because it's less likely that there's going to be a very specific directory for that type of, very specialized service, which means you're likely able to rank faster and then start generating organic leads. The reason I'm telling you this, Robert, is because I get, again, just the lead that the contractor that I closed last Friday, a tree contractor in Massachusetts, came to me through my directory. And it's not because I'm actively prospecting. It's because my directory is ranked #1 for tree service directory. So we get tree service contractors all the time that are registering user submitted listings. But why I started telling you about the different SOPs was because in that determining niche or industry SOP that I created, which is really the first SOP in the series for this training program, is I talk about how you can monetize the directory. Some of the members of our mastermind that are been following or, doing the Build with Bradley group, which was kind of about building a directory. That's where they're taking their directory, is monetizing it. You could sell advertising space on it. You could sell premium listings, right? So like upgraded listings that require a subscription fee or whatever. So there's a number of things that you can do. My personal strategy is just to use the directory to target, to initiate a conversation with my target prospects. That's all I care about. And then I use that foot in the door strategy because it initiates a conversation in a non-confrontational way. I'm not approaching them as a salesperson with the initial contact. The initial contact is just to confirm that I have the correct information for their company to be published on their free directory listing. And then when they reply back to either confirm that the information was correct or to correct an inaccurate information, then they go into the pipeline and they begin starting that we start soliciting to them, right? We start pitching them on upgrading to not premium listings, although that is something I could do, but generally what I've been trying to sell them on was Google Business SEO services. When I start prospecting for tree service contractors again, right now I'm prospecting for local SEO agencies. So it's completely different pitch, different approach. But for local businesses like tree service contractors, when I start doing that again, which eventually I will again, I'm going to probably pitch reputation building services as opposed to coming out of the gate with Google Business SEO, because my bottom line starting point is $850 a month for Google Business SEO, but I could do reputation market or building services for $100 a month. So I can start closing a lot more clients, getting a lot more people to be prospects paying me. And then I can, once I've developed a little bit of a relationship with them, I can always upsell them into the higher kind of Google Business SEO thing. So Robert, it's a great strategy. I don't recommend doing the reciprocal link thing because it's going to significantly restrict or reduce the amount of people that are going to want to be a part of your directory. I don't think it's, look at my directory. Go look at treecarehq.com, guys. That's my tree service directory. Again, just go search tree service directory. It's number one. Click through it, take a look at it. Go look at the backlink analysis. I have not even been building, intentionally been building links to that site, and still ranks number one for tree service directory over top Home Advisor, Lawn Starter, Arborist Near Me, like all these other directories out there. And so it's not real hard. You don't need to do like that reciprocal link thing for you to get results. It's about specialization. That's why I was saying earlier, like, personal injury attorneys, if you specialize way down to something obscure, but it's still highly valuable, now you've got a directory optimized for that. That's going to be much easier to rank than it is for something that's broad in general, right? Not only that, but if you think about in the tree service industry, which it's fairly broad, but I could specialize even more. Like crane, I use this in the SOP that I was creating as an example, like crane tree service. So that would be like a tree service that requires cranes for like great big trees and in urban areas where there's buildings. So you can't fell a tree, you can't drop a tree, you have to remove it in sections. That's where like crane, highly specialized service. Those kind of jobs generally fetch really big prices, because it requires renting a crane and some, oftentimes in urban areas you'll need permits and you have to close down streets and things like that. So highly specialized service that fetches a lot of money for those types of jobs. So like you could get into the crane tree service directory, which is a directory that only specializes in tree services that provide crane tree removal with cranes and that kind of stuff. And boom, you got right there a whole kind of like sub niche or industry that, could be dominated, that could be very valuable. And now, that like any of the contractors, the tree contractors that would be associated with that also have money because their jobs are worth a lot. Right. And so that's why I said kind of like specializing this directory approach into very specific specialized services within an industry is a way that you can very quickly build an authority type directory site. And then also all of your marketing messages and sales messaging is highly specialized. And so, you become more attractive to businesses that provide that specialized service, because now it's like, oh man, this is specifically for what I do, as opposed to going to what I always call a Me Too agency, right? A Me Too agency is a generalist agency that just will deal with anybody, work with anybody. So anyways, it's a great strategy. You sounds like you would really benefit from joining the mastermind. So there's my pitch for that.